Talal Asad is an anthropologist at the CUNY Graduate Center.Asad has made important theoretical contributions to post-colonialism, Christianity, Islam, and ritual studies, and has recently called for, and initiated, an anthropology of secularism, using a genealogical method developed by Friedrich Nietzsche and made prominent by Michel Foucault. Asad complicates terms of comparison that many anthropologists, theologians, philosophers, and political scientists receive as the unexamined background of thinking, judgment, and action as such. By doing so, he creates clearings, opening new possibilities for communication, connection, and creative invention where opposition is studied and indifference prevail. His long-term research concerns the transformation of religious law in 19th and 20th century Egypt, with special reference to arguments about what constitutes secular and progressive reform. Biography. He was born in Saudi Arabia to Austrian diplomat, writer and reformer Muhammad Asad, a Jew who converted to Islam in his mid-20s, and a Saudi Arabian Muslim mother, Munira Hussein al-Shamari. Critical thematics. William E. Connolly attempts to summarize Asad's theoretical contributions on secularism as follows. Secularism is not merely the division between public and private realms that allows religious diversity to flourish in the latter. It can itself be a carrier of harsh exclusions, and it secretes a new definition of religion that conceals some of its most problematic practices from itself, in creating its characteristic division between secular public space and religious private space. European secularism sought to shuffle ritual and discipline into the private realm. In doing so, however, it loses touch with the ways in which embodied practices of conduct help to constitute culture, including European culture. The constitution of modern Europe, as a continent and a secular civilization, makes it incumbent to treat Muslims in its midst on the one hand as abstract citizens and on the other as a distinctive minority, either to be tolerated or restricted, depending on the politics of the day. European modern secular constitutions of Islam, in cumulative effect, converge upon a series of simple contrasts between themselves and Islamic practices. These terms of contrast falsify the deep grammar of European secularism and contribute to the culture wars some bearers of these very definitions seek to ameliorate. Formations of the secular. Formations of the secular. Christianity, Islam, Modernity is both an original work and a reworking of previous essays and papers by Asad. Informations of the secular. Asad examines what he views as a curious character of modern European and American societies and the notion of secularism. Secularism, often viewed as a neutral, a flat space that forbids religious opinion or interference in political questions, is found to be somewhat curious to Asad. Specifically, Asad's experiences with the response to the 2001 September 11th attacks from the point of view of a Muslim in United States exposed him to explosions of intolerance that seemed to him entirely compatible with secularism in a highly modern society. However, rather than simply letting such a coincidence pass, Asad continues by stating that such behaviors are intertwined with secularism in a modern society. This leads Asad's deployment of the genealogical method in order to understand why a country like the United States denominates itself as secular. Despite the distinctly religious Manichaean tones, good and evil are often found within the historical record of the United States. He further notes that despite the nominally secular character of the United States, repressive measures have been directed at real and imagined secular opponents. These events, as well as other questions, lead Asad to what might be termed the thesis of the book. The secular, I argue, is neither continuous with the religious that supposedly preceded it nor a simple break from it. I take the secular to be a concept that brings together certain behaviors, knowledges, and sensibilities in modern life. Building on that notion, Asad is also critical of the more common concept of secularism, which he views as having no distinct features that demarcate it from other prior forms of secularism found elsewhere in the world. Instead, he favors another approach to viewing modern secularism. In my view, the secular is neither singular in origin nor stable in its historical identity, although it works through a series of particular oppositions. With that said, Asad's goal for the book is to understand how a more general pre-secularism mutates into the more familiar, novel form of secularism present within Euro-American societies. Asad makes clear his interest in this specific, novel variant. Select bibliography: The Kababish Arabs, Power, Authority, and Consent in a Nomadic Tribe. Prager Publishers, 1970. ISBN 0-900966-211. Market Model, Class Structure and Consent, A Reconsideration of SWAT Political Organization. Man 7, pp. 74-89. Editor, Anthropology and AMP, The Colonial Encounter. Ithaca Press, 1973. ISBN 0-903729-008. The Idea of an Anthropology of Islam. Center for Contemporary Arab Studies, 1986. ISBN 978-9991289526. Genealogies of Religion, Discipline on Reasons of Power in Christianity and Islam. The Johns Hopkins University Press, 1993. ISBN 080184632-3. Formations of the Secular, Christianity, Islam, Modernity. Stanford University Press, 2003. ISBN 080474768-7. On suicide bombing.